Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Rick Dodson from District 17A, and I'm honored to introduce our special guest who will welcome you tonight. Uh, Sent out a full bio earlier, but briefly, Ernest Young Jr. of Lansing, Kansas was elected to serve a 2-year term as Director of Lions Clubs International at the association's 87th International Convention held in Detroit, Michigan, and Windsor, Ontario, Canada, from July 5th through the 9th in 2004. Past International Director Young is a retired U.S. Army management specialist and an Army officer. He's been a Lion since 1989, serving in the Lansing Lions Club and the Miami County Traveling Lions Club. Past International Director Young is uniquely qualified to help us kick off this special training event, as he's been a presenter 5 times at the USA Canada forums. There's more, like I said, there's more information about PID Young in the bio that was sent out. And I know you're virtually joining me in thanking PID Ernie for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Ron. Rick, this is Ernie Young. Welcome to everybody for choosing to improve your Lions information skills and to also take advantage of this virtual learning event. Lions Clubs International is well known as the largest and the greatest of service club organizations. That's because of the contributions that we've made to ensure that the world is a better place. Those contributions are a result of our ability to learn and involve, as we've done for more than 100 years. Evolution is good, but it's even better when you learn on the way. Otherwise, we run the risk of doing the same thing again and again because we always did it that way. Instead, as leaders, we are expected to share new ideas and make things better. We have an abundance of passion and experience, so it's only natural for our training opportunities to lead us to excellent performance. Along the way, we encounter obstacles, like something called COVID-19. It interrupts our usual methods of staying informed. In order for us to continue to perform with high rates of success, we have a need to learn and train in a manner that is effective and also safe for our members. That need is for safe and effective training reminds me of a saying, where there's a need, there's a lion. Recognizing the need for safe, effective training, First Vice District Governor Dr. Vanya Castro developed a virtual training program that accomplishes that goal of learning in an effective and safe manner. That program was approved by the district governors of each of our districts for implementation, and that's what we're going to experience here tonight. We are the beneficiaries of Vanya's hard work and dedication, and I hope that you will enjoy what we're going to see. Finally, I want to point out that there are a number of handouts that were sent to you today that I think are just outstanding. I hope you'll make those a part of your library reference for the future. One of the things that I think is more important than others, that's just an opinion, is that you need to become familiar with the standard club constitution and bylaws. That's something that you'll use again and again, and you'll have everything at your fingertips. Go there find what you need, and move on swiftly. So with that, enjoy your experience this evening and share your learning with fellow Lions who could not be with us. I wish you a marvelous year ahead. Thanks.
Rick, you need to unmute.
Welcome again. This is our first ever statewide virtual club officer training. We're very excited about the training segment selected for you. We had a panel of experienced Lions from all 3 Kansas districts putting this together. Next slide. Our instructors for our first training module tonight will be myself, District Governor Diana Baumann from District 17K, and District Governor Chris Bauer from District 17N. Before we go any further, though, we want to ask you to answer a few polls. Make sure you scroll down to get all the questions and just take about 20 seconds so we can keep moving along. Are we through, Chris? Chris? You're muted, Chris.
Yeah, we're up at 61 have voted.
Okay.
And it's pretty well leveled off now, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the poll.
Okay. If we have another one, let's keep it to about 20 seconds.
Okay. And I might point out all the polls are anonymous. We have no idea how anyone votes.
You have the next one up?
Okay, I'm going to end that polling. I can share the results there with you, Rick, so you can.
Yeah, we're heavily into the senior citizen age here. Kind of expected that.
Yeah. Looks like it's about 2 to 1 on male to female.
And surprisingly, our average age as a Lion, 2 to 5 years. So we've got a lot of fairly new Lions.
Yes.
And 31% presidents, 11% vice presidents, secretaries, treasurers. So, and what's really like to see is we've got almost 30% of first-time folks in their positions. That's great. That's what this is intended for. So if we're through, Chris, can we move on?
Okay.
Okay. Got the next slide. We're all here as leaders to help our Lions reach their highest possible level of service through the development of skills and the sharing of knowledge. We can help our Lions leaders who will share their passion for Lions and have a great impact on the service in our community, just as we have. Our mission statement is to empower volunteers to serve their communities, meet humanitarian needs, encourage peace, and promote international understanding through Lions. Very quickly, I sent out a thing about etiquette for virtual meetings. I just want to talk about 2 or 3 of those to make sure that everybody remembers to stay muted if you're not talking. If you do unmute and need to talk, try not to crosstalk. If you're connected by audio only, and some of them we just have phone numbers, please identify yourself when you talk. And if you've got a cell phone or something nearby, please turn that off. We'll have a question and answer period at the end of this module. So if you have a question or a comment, type it in the chat box to the right. Identify if you want a specific person to answer it. Otherwise, any one of us will answer it. Council Chair Diane Hingis will be monitoring the chat box and tell us what questions we have and comments if we have time for those at the end. And as PID Ernie said earlier today, you received an email with advanced handouts for the session. The 3 primary ones are the President and Vice President's ebooks, a participant's manual, and supplementary handouts for the participant's manual. This session tonight is going to contain 2 modules of approximately 55 minutes each with a 5-minute break in between. The first module has been designed to provide basic information for the club president and to identify additional resources to prepare you for this position. The second module is using supplementary information to enhance your understanding of the important concepts related to your job. And though not officially on the training schedule, if we have time and anyone wishes to remain, we will stick around and hold like a town hall style session to address any remaining topics you want to discuss. Next slide. So by the end of this session, you should be able to explain the roles and responsibilities of a club president, develop and put an annual club plan into action, plan and manage a meeting, and access additional resources if necessary. So with that said, let's do this. Next slide. As a club president, you're the chief executive officer of the club. You have a limited power and no absolute authority. What little authority you have comes from the directives from your board of directors, the club members, your constitution and bylaws. And the club's president's role is to organize the club, coordinate activities, create, promote, unite the membership, provide guidance, and encourage the members. You work in, go back one slide, Chris, sorry. You work in cooperation with and have shared responsibilities with your board of directors. The typical board consists of the president, the immediate past president, the vice presidents, secretary, treasurer, membership chairperson, and really any other elected directors or local officers that the club desires. Most clubs, as you see at the top of the slide there, also have a lion tamer and a tail twister as optional board members. Because of the limited time we have, we're only going to talk about the president and a little bit about the secretary treasurer. We think it's important for the president to fully understand the duties of the secretary and the treasurer to ensure that he or she is providing proper oversight and to confirm that routine tasks are being accomplished. If time permits and there's questions, we do have some backup slides on the other officers, or we can talk about them later in the town hall. Next slide. As the chief administrative officer of the club, you are the public face of the club, and you have the most influence on the success of your club during this term of office. On the next 2 slides, this slide and the next one, are going to highlight some of your responsibilities. You should make every effort to attend all in-person training opportunities and to seek online training resources so you can efficiently and effectively perform your duties. MyLCI and MyLion are critical communication links between the club and the higher headquarters. MyLion is where your club service information is recorded, and MyLCI contains all the membership data and meeting information on your club, as well as a lot of other things. You should have as a president, have your own Lions account, and you should regularly monitor the information inputted by your secretary and use it to check reports that are being done for your club. And obviously, you have to provide overall club and board of director meetings, and you should appoint all committees. If you don't appoint all the full committees, at least you should appoint the chairpersons. Next club, next. You need to attend all the zone meetings as part of the District Governor's Advisory Committee. And the other members of the District Governor's Advisory Committee is your club first vice president and secretary. Make sure elections are held in the spring and the results are reported promptly online in MyLCI. And one significant thing, help prepare for the continuity of the next president and your entire club operations. Don't just let things be made up as they go along. Try to record the steps that happen in your fundraising and service activities, so that as you pass those activities on to some new chairperson, they've got a written record of what they need to do to perform those jobs. Next slide. The club secretary's job is pretty common. He or she keeps the history of all the club's official proceedings, keep an accurate recording of the club membership roster, and assist in the communications of all the members. Officially, the secretary is supposed to notify members of their dues, turn funds over to the treasurer to deposit, but in most clubs, as we know, the treasurer does all of these type of things. Note that we have a club administrator along with the secretary. This is a new position that was started last year. The administrator can be appointed by the president and entered by the secretary into MyLCI. It's not an elected position. Your club may decide to make the position part of your board of directors so the administrator knows what's going on at all the meetings along with the secretary. The administrator also registers and has their own Lions account, and they can perform all the secretary functions of MyLCI and MyLion. This is critical for continuity in case the secretary is not available. We've actually had some circumstances where the secretaries have passed away or for some other reason couldn't perform the duties, had not given their passwords to anything to anybody else in the club. It took quite a bit of effort to get all the record keeping started again for the club. And it's also a good way to train a future secretary. And the president needs to check every month to ensure the secretary or the administrator is inputting all of those records into MyLCI and MyLion. And as I mentioned earlier, along with the president and the first vice president, the secretary serves on the District Governor's Advisory Committee and attends the zone meetings, sharing information on the club and any concerns you have so that it gets to the district governor and the officers. Next slide.
District Governor Rick,
Yes.
there are 2 minutes left on your time allotment.
Okay, thank you. The next slide, Chris. Thank you. The club treasurer serves as the main bookkeeper for both administrative and public projects from service and fundraising activities, and helps the president develop the budgets for the next year. Overseeing the treasurer's activities, the board should require a financial report monthly or every meeting and an audit at the end of the year. As mentioned, the treasurer is responsible, along with a secretary, for dues collection and recording. The club may require board of director approval for every payment the treasurer makes, or they can permit the treasurer to automatically settle all bills related to the approved budget. And the next slide quickly. And there are other sources to find information about the other officers. As I said, if there's time later, we do have some slides on them, or you can talk to the previous officers, and the president and vice president's ebook has a lot of information on them. So with that, I'll turn it over to District Governor Chris Bauer, who will talk about the development of the club's annual plan.
Thank you, District Governor Rick. We're going to discuss the development and execution of a club plan. If you have it printed out, I'd like to refer you to the participants manual on page 5. It has a chart of various items that you need to be planning for. Starts out, it has monthly events, for instance, the club meetings. However your club does it, some clubs meet twice a month, some once a month, some clubs meet every week. So however your club meets, you need to be able to plan those. You need to work on to having a board of directors meeting. And then on on quarterly meetings, you need to attend the district governor advisory events, meetings, and if possible, attend your district cabinet meetings. Annually, there's you can have a business meeting or an annual wrap-up meeting for your club. There's also a district convention that's held in the spring every year, so we strongly recommend you attend that. And then there also are other areas that you can attend, like Lions Clubs International. They have a international convention. There's a USA-Canada Forum, and there's for training, you can go to the Great Plains Lions Leadership Institute. So there's a lot of opportunities to learn. But we will talk about the club plan right now, and there's 3 key elements to that. Of course, it's developing a plan, executing the plan, and then monitoring the plan to make sure it's actually working well. So you also need to have a follow-up analysis of every meeting that you have to make sure that your plan is working the way you had planned. Oops. Hang on. Okay. I got too many buttons here. Excuse me just a second. There we go. Okay, for developing a club plan, starting as while you're a vice president, you should be making notes of how the president is getting things done before you, and so that when you take over as president, you will have a basic knowledge of what needs to be done. And there are many tools out there to help you. As president-elect, you will need to have a meeting with your incoming board of directors shortly after your election. That way you can start planning your year. And one critical assessment can be informal or formal, but you and the board of directors need to take the pulse of the club and determine what activities you're going to continue, and then what activities that you'd like to try that are brand new. You need to set your goals for your next year, and you need to estimate a budget. You need to work with the treasurer and secretary and work on a budget. Once you've completed all of your assessments, then you can get your budget approved for your year and reach consensus on the activities with your club members. So then you can have the secretary put all of this together into a yearly calendar and share that with the members. Perfect planning produces no results without supervised execution. So you need to start early in your year. As president, you're in charge, so take charge. But don't do it all. You need to delegate out some of the authority to different committees. You need to set up committees for your activities, your fundraisers, and find a line that you can trust that will follow through on the project. So set up your committees and then constantly evaluate how things are going. If something is not going right, you need to fix it. And if it can't be fixed, move on and start planning something different. And when you get to the end of your year, before you get to the end of the year, you need to start planning your departure so your predecessor can take over for you and prepare for transition. Just don't let it happen. You need to plan for it. Any plan needs some type of an ongoing evaluation. That way you can see in mid-course that you need to make corrections, you need to change the way things are going, or if things are going great, just keep going on. Once a project is completed, you need to do a final analysis at the end so you can set yourself up for future success on your next project or your next fundraiser. There are some of the things that you can plan on and implement towards the end of your year, and these don't have to be formal discussions, but you should be discussed in enough detail so that your successor and your club can prepare. when you have time, I want you to look at handouts that we sent out, pages 1 through 10. They have a lot more information about setting up your plan for the year. Effective Lions clubs, they need to follow the standard club structure. And this provides organizational guidance for your club in planning and implementation of your goals. This would provide the community with needed service and building great friendships in your club. Furthermore, as future leaders, you need to know how to conduct effective meetings to retain members and to keep them involved and motivated. Okay. Next, we will move on to discuss the phases of your meeting management and components of a good meeting. So I want to turn this over to District Governor Diana.
Thank you,
Diana?
Thank you, District Governor Chris. Okay, now that you know the roles and responsibility of your club officers and you plan for your year, now it's time to plan for meetings to keep your Lions engaged and looking forward to coming back to the next meeting and the next meeting. I am District Governor Diana Baumann from District 17K, and I'm thrilled to see everybody here tonight. Thank you. Thank you for your efforts to learn and to grow. It will make you a great president and make for a wonderful year for your club. So, just how do you go about conducting effective and engaging meetings? Lions Club's meetings can be thought of as an opportunity to share ideas, to carry on the planning and decision-making that makes the club run. But it's also a time to enjoy your fellow Lions and your friends at your meeting. However, some meetings can create boredom or disagreement or even dissension among your members. An example I'd like to give, well, quite a few years ago, I was at a club and we had a vice president that was in charge of the programs. She was not very prepared, and more often than not, unfortunately, she would, right before the meeting, make a handout of a quiz of different things in Kansas. So throughout the year, we had quite a few quizzes. And as you can imagine, some of the members got a little, there was dissension within the club. We lost member participation in the meetings, and we eventually lost members. Now, the president did not get involved and did not get with the vice president, did not offer any help. So this is an example of how it's important to keep your meetings engaging. There are several things that you can do when you're put into this position, which can go a long way toward making sure the meeting is worthwhile and an enjoyable experience. So the components of effective meetings are preparation, facilitation, and follow-up. We'll take a short look at some of the things you can do to make sure you prepare for the meeting. Good Lions Club meetings don't just happen. They're thoroughly planned and executed. In coordination, of course, with your club secretary, the president should review all the actions that need to take place at the meeting and then to organize them into an agenda. Your programs can and do make for engaging meetings. Make sure that your guests and your program participants are scheduled and they know what to expect from you. Are you serving a meal? How much time do they have? What is their talk going to be about? And know also what you expect of them. Are they giving a speech? Are they handing out awards? Are they doing new member inductions? This will go a long way. If you plan in advance and there are no surprises, your meetings will run smoothly. Meeting preparation checklist. Determine the tasks and actions and outcomes of your meeting. List the agenda items, the participants, and set a time frame. Make sure you know where the meeting's at, you have the meeting room set up, you can communicate with your members, and you prepare yourself. If you look on page 6 of the participant manual, there is a preparation checklist that's very helpful. It's useful not only for club meetings, but can be used for committee or project meetings as well. People notice when you're not well prepared, and they also notice when your preparation has not been thorough. On page 7, oops, is a, I think Chris and I are both moving the slides. Sorry about that. I'll let you take over, Chris. On page 7 is an agenda, sample agenda for your meeting. To begin with your year, look at your agenda and see if there's anything. Look at this sample agenda. If you have an agenda, look at what you have for your club. Is there anything that maybe you as a president would like to do differently? Is there something you'd like to add to this agenda? Maybe you have a new member that's been here for 6, 8 months and he's just a character. He's a lot of fun. Everybody enjoys him. Maybe it's time to add a tail twister to your agenda. So just because you have an agenda, you need to stick to some of it, but there is some things you can do to make your meetings more enjoyable. Plan times for each of the items you have on your agenda. Always stick to them and make sure you start your meeting and you end your meeting on time. Very, very important. I like to leave plenty of space when I do an agenda on the right-hand side that's a blank space, because you can take notes as you go through the meeting, which will help you prepare for your next meeting. And it'll also help you follow through on items that you have said you're going to do. The agenda is the most critical part of the meeting. It's a roadmap that will guide you and your club through the meeting. The key things to remember when developing an agenda are to do it with input from others. Your secretary, your treasurer, maybe your board officers, even club members can help you with an agenda. Organize the agenda with appropriate times and responsibilities, and distribute the agenda a few days or at least a week in advance of the meeting, and make sure you include anything relevant that you need to discuss. Serving as your club president is a privilege and an honor bestowed upon you by your club members. The next component of an effective meeting is the way in which the meeting is facilitated. So if we can go to the components of a good meeting. Next slide, please. Information, discussion, and recognition. There is a great chart, if you look in your e-participant manual, that will help you make the meeting more engaging just by what you do. It has some good items that help you transfer what you're trying to get across from yourself to your audience. It's body language. It gives you some tips on eye contact or the tone of your voice. Is it a monotone voice, or do you adjust your voice level up and down to keep your members engaged? And even some language skills. So I would suggest, if you can, take some time through that. Information includes progress, important dates, and facts. And one component of a meeting, of course, is the opportunity to inform your audience of committee progress, important dates, new projects, or anything that needs explanation or clarification. Many meetings become boring when you have maybe one person that takes over the talk and talks for quite a long time about the same thing. Or maybe you're bringing up the same information this meeting that you brought up last meeting that you're going to bring up next meeting. And if you would just put some of those ideas in a simple email or maybe a newsletter to your club members, then you don't have to take up that time that may bore your participants. The next thing is decision and discussions. And if you'll refer to page 9 on your participant manual, this is a checklist that will help you keep your decisions and discussions short and on task. This will cover all items that require something new to be considered or decided upon, such as a project meeting or a strategy or a new approach for gaining and retaining members. And the last thing is recognition. Again, on page 9, you'll find a checklist of ways you can recognize your members. This is one thing that's missing from a lot of meetings, and it's something that can very much motivate your members and the success of your club. Time should be allotted at your meetings to acknowledge guests, of course, and new members. And most importantly, the members that have gone above and beyond, maybe to do some projects in the community or for the club. One thing that we used to do is when we have a club member that came in and hadn't been at the club for a while, we would recognize them formally. We would thank them. Hey, Rick, it's nice to see you here tonight. We haven't seen you for a while. Welcome back. We enjoy it. And what we found is the more we did that, the more our members participated in our club meetings, and the club meetings got bigger and bigger. Also, I'd like to let you know about LCI. They have a publication. It's called The Art of Recognition. You can find that by searching the website. It covers the concepts of formal and informal recognition and offers you a lot of ideas on how you can recognize your members. So remember that when you are done with your meeting, your work is not done as far as meeting preparation. I will conclude this discussion of meeting management by pointing out the important post-meeting actions that will help make sure the meeting was indeed successful. One thing you can do, you can evaluate the meeting or have your members evaluate the meeting. This can be a very valuable tool to make sure your meetings are effective, engaging, and make sure that you're getting the point across. Additionally, preparing and distributing the minutes of your meeting are a way of summarizing what you went over in the meeting and can be given to even people that were not at the meeting to keep them involved. And so when they come back to your meeting, they're still up to date with everything that's going on. So that is effective and engaging meetings. And at this point, I would like to turn it back to District Governor Rick, and he is going to give you some resources to use during your year as club president. Thank you.
Thank you, District Governor Diana. If you look on page 12 through 15 of your participants manual, it shows many other resources that will assist you in gaining knowledge about your position. The graphics provided are the thumbnails, show various documents that are available on the LCI website that you can go out and do a search on once you get to the website. You can actually Google, if you know the name of them, you can just Google them from any browser and it will take you into the LCI website. One of the key documents, as I mentioned before, is the President and Vice President's ebook. If you print the ebook off, you can just read it. But if you just pull it up on your screen and leave it in digital form, it has a huge amount of hyperlinks for all the topics you could probably ever want to think about for how to do the job. And if you click on those hyperlinks, it will take you into the LCI website so you can get more information. And a relatively new and revised source is on the LCI website. It's called the Lions Learning Center. And you have to have a Lions account. When you get into the main homepage of the LCI, you click on the top menu called Member Login, and then you select Learn. And for those of you that might like a demonstration of that, if you want to remain after Module 2, we can open up the website and I can show you where that is. Once you get into the Learn, you can look for, in their menu, look for your position: presidents, vice presidents, secretary, treasurers, second vice district governors, whatever position you have, and you click on them, it'll bring up and show you what they call a path or a pathway. And it'll have all sorts of typically 1 hour topics that will assist you in your job. So that is something that would be very beneficial for you to learn how to use. Chris, next slide. So quickly, I'd run through, did we meet our objectives? Did we explain the role and responsibilities of the club president? Did we show you how to develop and put an annual club action in the plan? Did we plan and show you how to plan and manage a meeting? And you know how to find some additional resources if you need them. Next slide. This is pretty close to the end of our first module. And again, we have some quick polls before we take our break or have questions. So Chris, you want to bring those up?
Yep.
If you could spend about 20 seconds here to answer the poll. This one doesn't scroll down, so what you see on the screen.
Just one question on this one.
Yeah, I assume all of you that are clicking the LCI website, it's because you've been out there and used it and know about it, and you can appreciate what you can do there. And obviously, most of you know how to use Zoom, and I don't know what else you have done on Zoom other than just having myriad meetings. But I love it because hopefully we're going to have, I know we're going to have during our secretary training, for example, in the second module, we're just going to open up My Lion and My LCI and show you right on the screen how to do tasks. So that is a super training vehicle using Zoom for that purpose. So yeah, I agree with you. The majority of you think that's a good way to do it. Next poll, Chris.
Okay, we'll end that poll. And I can show you the results of how that went. 54% wanted to like the interactive training on Zoom. Then the next one was 32% was the LCI Website Learning Center. So looks like not too many people want to meet in person. So don't want to catch anything. So we'll go on to the next poll. And whoops, that's after this. Sorry, I got the wrong. Hang on a second. Oh, that was the only poll we had on after this one, those two polls.
Okay, we're not having the polls on the faculty.
Yeah. Oh, okay. We took those out, remember?
Okay. Well, next, if we're through with the polls, then next we'll have next slide. Council Chair Diane, do we have any questions in chat?
We have one question from District A, and it's not directed at anybody in particular, but if the question is, at a meeting, if the program chair does not have a program, is it okay for the president to find a program for the club? And what ideas would make a good program?
I can answer part of that, and the other governors can. First off, the president and the program chairman should be talking long before they show up at the meeting. And if the program chairman is not going to be able to get a program, then certainly the president could send out a notice to all the members and ask if someone has a recommendation. Or he or she could keep a list of potential programs in their hip pocket, so could call somebody at the last minute. It also wouldn't hurt to have some programs that don't require a lot of technical setup or anything, that the president could have someone ready to stand up and give, whether it's Lions orientation or something like that. Other governors?
Okay, I might put it out there. Excuse me, Diana. I'll put out there that one thing that you can have that's easy to do if you have access to either a screen and a projector and or a large screen television is Lions Clubs International has some great videos, and most of them are relatively short, 10, 15-minute videos that you can show and help educate people further on the aspects of Lions Clubs International. Diana?
Yeah, thank you, Chris. I was just going to say that we actually had this happen one year with the vice president we had, and we had members that were involved in different activities or different committees in the community. And so we had them set up ready to give a speech at the drop of a hat. And my husband and I were also ready to give a speech if we needed to. So we were always ready in case that did happen. Very good question. Thank you.
Okay, I have one more that just came in. This is also from District A. It says, please elaborate on the difference between My LCI and My Lion.
Diana, you want to take that?
Sure. My Lion right now is mainly where you're going to put your service activities. They plan to enhance that later, but right now My Lion is all your service activities. My LCI is where you're going to go to look up your invoices, change your membership, look at your membership, get reporting. My LCI is pretty much everything else. So that's it. That's just a very quick and simple answer, but My Lion right now is just service reporting.
I'd add on the My Lion, you can actually pre-enter service reports or service activities before the activity actually happens. And there's a process in there where you can actually invite people, your club members or even other clubs to come help participate in your activities.
Um,
One thing that a lot of people do not even know about, if you go into My LCI, on the right side, there's a drop-down menu. And when you open that, one of the selections is a training area. And you can go into a training area and it mirrors your actual operations of your club. You can practice everything in there and it doesn't show up on the regular data. So you can make mistakes and play around with it and train yourself or use it for other people to help train you. And that's what we hope to do in the future. So you need to go in there and check that out. And you can, like I said, it doesn't screw up your real data. So it's kind of a little fun place to play around and learn all the capabilities of My LCI.
District Governor Rick, I might point out that currently that site is down. It was down and started about 2 to 3 weeks ago. I checked it again today and it's still down. So they're working on it to get that site back up.
Okay.
Another participant has indicated that they have found My LCI on their mobile phone turns out to be just a shopping app and not Lions Club International with question marks. So I don't know if anybody's ran into that.
I haven't seen that, so I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Any other comments or questions then from anyone?
None that I have here.
I'll make a comment, Rick, if that's okay. I'm going to go back to this My Lion that you gentlemen have talked about. I have clubs in my district that do invite me and internet or past District Governor Tom to their fundraising events or any kind of projects they have because they know that we do everything we can to show up for it. So I like the invitation part of it. It lets us know what our clubs are doing and we're able to go out and take part in it.
I think that was a good concept. And the intent was to put that out there so you could invite and other people in your district and state would know what was going on. Part of the problem is when you invite someone, if they do not have a Lions account themselves, they're not going to receive your invitation. So for an example, when we first came up, I put a future service in for our club. And I clicked on invite my club and the whole roster of our club was pulled over into it from My LCI. So I thought that notice went out to everybody in the club and nobody received it because you have to have a Lions account in order for you to receive those future notices. The most worthwhile thing for most clubs still is reporting past activities just like it used to be under the old, when the services were in My LCI. And they've now gone to My Lion. So you go in and report your service activities the same way. And we need to get clubs to do that much more often. Last year in our district, we only had about 33% of our clubs reported any service in My Lion.